It all started with a sudden fire in the dark, with an enormous light streak, awe-inspiring in that it dwarfed everything else up there. First, astronomers thought it was an error or a problem in the sensors. However, within hours the truth surfaced. A thing had been discovered, something nearly 100 times larger and brighter than the Atlas, and it was moving in the Sun's direction on a course that is eerily similar to Earth's own orbit. Identified as C2025R2, despite already being known as the Swan, this interstellar explorer has astonished researchers and sparked speculation unlike anything else since Oumuamua's arrival. The length of its tail is 5 times the length of a full moon, a bright scar across the sky that no one can ignore. And what lies beneath that beauty is something significantly more troubling, because every tidbit of information points to the chance that this isn't just another comet, but something much older, more distant, and possibly even something designed. When the Swan first appeared, it was discovered on September 12, 2025. It shattered expectations right away. The typical comet is barely visible, despite powerful telescopes. However, this object was stunning, its unmistakable presence evident from the beginning, even in instruments for amateurs. In 48 hours, it was depicted with a tail of such enormous size that the dim filament of the Atlas appeared to be a dying ember next to a raging forest fire. Scientists swiftly realized that this was more than just a question of scale, not size. The Swan's sheer brightness suggests a release of energy that is unmatched in any way natural ice and rock sublimation could explain. Rather than a chaotic dust cloud, its emissions formed a structured, precise and narrow jet, almost as if it were under control. The mystery was heightened by its composition. Unusual results from spectrum analysis, plasma, nickel and cobalt signatures, showed chemistry that is not in line with natural processes. Already there are voices in the scientific community suggesting a chilling concept. This is more than just a comet. It might be a device, one that has traveled great distances between stars to arrive exactly at this moment in history. Even though the Swan by itself is amazing, what truly disturbs upon its arrival is the situation. Similar to the Atlas, the Swan approaches its own perihelion from a totally unrelated trajectory. However, both will reach the Sun within a few days of one another, separated by only 50 million kilometers, a narrow margin on a cosmic scale. For a brief moment, both objects will vanish in October, invisible beneath the Sun's glare to all of the planet's telescopes. What takes place in those dark weeks is the source of increasing anxiety. Could one or both interstellar travelers possibly interact gravitationally or in ways we cannot yet comprehend? Could one influence the other or even collide, distributing debris throughout the system? Some researchers add something else unnerving, that this is not a fluke but choreography. 2 devices becoming closer to our star, as part of a mission that goes back to the dawn of humankind. For we have held the belief that the universe is silent. However, silence may not imply absence. It might require waiting. And it's possible that the wait is over. If Atlas had already raised an alarm, thanks to its peculiar nickel composition and what appears to be a 10 gigawatt output of power, then the Swan has taken those anxieties and amplified them 1,000-fold. Initial calculations indicate that its core is generating more than 10,000 gigawatts every second of the day, an astonishing figure equivalent to the entire output of human civilization condensed into a single interstellar object. Plasma from its sheath acts like a sparkling barrier that uses solar particles to deflect, with a grace that no comet has ever possessed. Brightness shifts on a regular basis point to pulses and bursts of controlled propulsion that resemble a plasma signature drive instead of erratic outgassing. Observers do not refer to it as a comet, but as a leviathan, a gliding fortress through the gloom, shaping its surroundings as it moves. If Atlas was a scout, then the Swan is a warship, a massively powerful vessel, its deliberate movement and course bringing it closer to Earth's orbital plane than anyone is comfortable admitting. Even though the Swan's power is unsettling, what may be even more upsetting is the possibility that it has already been here before. It seems from NASA's orbital models that it could be a repeat intruder, a returning traveler caught in a loop over a period of more than 22,000 years. The last time humanity was affected by its proximity to the Sun, it was emerging from the Ice Age, carving monuments and star charting. Some theorists suggest that Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids and other ancient structures, aligned with Orion and other constellations, perhaps served as indicators of this cycle, with warnings carved into stone for heirs who might one day re-examine it. As the Swan now stands, with a tail blazing across the sky brighter than any time in human history, the query returns, is this object natural, or is it part of a larger pattern that humanity has only recently forgotten it once knew? Is its return a fluke, or a planned event incorporated into the structure of the universe? And if it has returned, what is the purpose this time? A gloomy glimmer as October nears looms large over the scientific community. Both the Swan and the Atlas will hide behind the sun and disappear from every instrument in the universe. No human eye, no telescope, no probe will be able to follow them throughout this blackout. It seems as though the universe itself has closed the door behind it, leaving us blind at the exact same time as two of the most mysterious objects in interstellar space ever found converge. When they do reappear, their paths might be changed forever. Will they speed up, either slow down or enter completely new courses? There are rumors about the possibility of a miss or, even worse, a collision, which has the potential to disperse fragments all over the solar system, creating an alien storm in the sky debris. Others question whether the blackout, the story itself, is a part of it. When these objects vanish beyond our sight, carrying out operations or exchanges that are out of our reach, whatever takes place in those weeks, the human race will be forced to wait silently in the hope that we are not confronted when the curtain falls, with something much more dire than we imagined. What distinguishes the Swan from all other comets, never before documented, is not only its size or luminosity, but its behavior. Natural comets erupt in unexpected ways. Jets erupt in bursts, tails bend and fray beneath solar energy. However, the Swan's emissions are constant, measured and disciplined as though deliberately tuned. It has a tail that flows not in a haphazard manner, but instead with surgical precision, while maintaining speed like a beam with columns. Brightness pulses that are regular, too precise to be deemed purely coincidental. According to Harvard's Avi Loeb, this could represent modulation of thrust, a deliberate method of travel. And if that is the case, then we are not experiencing a whirling mass of ice and dust wandering aimlessly in space, but a craft, a controlled object, a probe, possibly even a vessel. Its output of power, plasma that acts as a shield, and chemical plasma containing nickel and cobalt, all point to processes that are not just natural remarks on physics. The Swan does not appear like a natural occurrence. It appears to have intent. Now rumors abound around the connection that exists between the Swan and three-eyed Atlas. Could it in fact be a synchronicity between two interstellar items, delivered within weeks of each other, almost aligning with the sun in concert? The pattern may appear to be undeniable. Three-eyed Atlas, smaller and possibly a scout, sent a sophisticated probe to test the waters of the solar system, to gather information or to clear the path. By contrast, the Swan exudes the size of a command ship, a Leviathan fortress, either to follow in its wake, recover the data, eliminate the scout, or begin a new phase of something else. The mission was initiated long before there was human civilization. Some suppose that they might not even belong to the same place, so they might be competing machines coming together to compete for either our star's energy or something else even more significant. This has the sun. Theory serves as more than just a prize, a signal, or a way in. Also, we are witnessing an integrated convergence, the emergence of the cosmos architecture directly above us. The Swan is getting closer to perihelion, so its trajectory gets frighteningly close to Earth's 150 million-mile orbital distance, km, the same length that maintains our planet in motion. For a brief moment, the Swan will pass over the cosmic rim doorstep, a shining fortress that is larger than any comet that has ever existed, passing as a reminder of how fragile our world is. The synchronicity has sparked ancient echoes. Comets were once thought to be signs, indications of change, of endings and beginnings. Now, with just one object emitting regulated power, and another that followed it like a rival or scout, the omen feels more heavy than ever. Humanity, for the first time, is more than just watching the sky, but wondering if the sky is observing back. Are we watching or actors in a play that we never asked to join? The Swan's arrival forces us to face a dreadful possibility, that our solar system is not isolated, not at random, but a component of a stage in which greater forces work. forces that have been traversing space and time long before we arrive to observe them. And right now, the last thing we're watching, music. The swan is more than just a comet blazing through the sky. It is a leviathan, 100 times brighter and larger than anything else we've ever followed, moving with precision and exuding power, and coming together with three-eyed Atlas that lies at the heart of our sun system. How likely is such a coincidence? It is beyond logic. Nonetheless, it is here. Two visitors from another galaxy arrived together as they vanished beneath the sun and getting ready to return on the other side. When they do, it could be the end of their paths changed, and ours may as well. If this is natural, then we are on the verge of one of the most significant discoveries in science's past, living evidence that we receive messages from the universe, individuals who wander with the chemistry and other stars' memories. But if the swan is an artificial species machine, a ship, or a fortified structure, then we are up against a much bigger challenge. There is evidence of intelligence working energies and timescales far beyond our imagination. A fortress and scout, a mission that spans millennia and returns repeatedly as humanity struggles to even keep track of its initial steps among the stars. Maybe this isn't just a coincidence. It could be a test, a cycle, or warning. For thousands of years, our ancestors carved, as they looked up at the sky, their fear of pyramids made of stone, circles, Orion-like alignments, reassurances that the skies are not silent. It is now time for us to look up and to recognize that the universe does not wait until we are prepared. So the issue here is not whether the swan is a craft or a comet. The inquiry is what we will carry out when it comes to power, interferes with our orbit, and when it finally determines whether or not we are alone or as a part of something already far larger. The curtains are now drawn and humanity is not on stage, but actors are no longer the only ones watching. If this rattled you, if it prompted you to wonder whether the sky is a living or quiet background stage, do not withdraw. Subscribe to this network. We heed the signals others ignore. Set notifications up, because when the three-eyed Atlas and the swan appear behind the sun, everything may change. Talk about this with someone who still holds that the universe is silent. And tell me in the comments what you think. Do you believe that the swan is simply a comet or an intelligence's fortress that has finally arrived?